At WNST me to get all my baseball buddies together and talk a little seams here. This guy's running around out there with McDonough right now and ran around in the outfield for the Atlanta Braves and the Richmond Braves and a lot of Braves back in the day in my era, and now do a little baseball training up at the baseball warehouse and, of course, selling insurance to anyone who buys it from Heller Kowitz. He's my pal Brian Kowitz, who it's officially baseball season when your kid's on the diamond, right, Brian?
Absolutely. We're opening up here at McDonough against Boys Latin, watching my son play. He's a junior at McDonough, so it's always fun to get out and watch.
Well, you were a BL guy, though, right? Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I was a BL guy. Yep.
How does that happen? You mix the streams. It's like a Dundalk kid sending his kid to like Patapsco or something. What's up with that, man?
I know. You know, he went to Boys Latin early on, and then went to Gembassy, and then decided he was in ninth grade. He wanted to come here, and so we gave it a shot, and he got in, and he wanted to give it a shot. I think he wanted the co-ed thing. That's what he wanted.
Hey, you know what? A lot of pressure when you say your dad played in the big leagues and you're playing baseball, right? Like, I was always weirded out for the Belanger boys and the Crowley boy, all the guys that played ball back in the era where their dads were in the big leagues. That was a whole different level, I think, of expectation with the last name, right?
There's a lot of pressure. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons it was a good thing, to come here to McDonough, create his own identity, and not have to worry about is going to Boys Latin, not having to any expectations.
Well, for the Orioles and for where you are, obviously you go to the games, you're here following the team. This has been a very curious offseason. I think most of us would look at this and say they don't have enough pitching, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt they don't have enough pitching, and they've had a tremendous opportunity with a great bullpen over the last several years, and they just could never get enough good starting pitching. And then this year, the bullpen's going to dwindle, I think, a little bit. Not going to be quite as good as it used to be. They got a couple guys that may be on the trading block. It's a tough year. It's going to be I think it's going to be a tough year because I think everybody's lost faith in their ability to put the starting pitching to compete in the American League East out there.
Well, and the Cashner signing, where do you stand on all these late signings, man? I mean, you would have loved to have been in the big leagues long enough that it'd be in your 30s and they throw you off to the farm and you can't get a gig and have that issue, but this has been an issue for veteran players here this year. I'm sure you're familiar with from the Players Association side, but, what has happened here to sort of blackball these players over 30 or try to get their salaries down? I mean, the Cashner signing was really, part of the remnant of that to get him at 2 years and $17 million, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think so, and I think the trouble. I just think that the money has gotten so out of hand, and I think they're afraid to take the chance of just putting all that money out there with these veteran guys when they feel like they can get these younger cheaper players that when they're doing so many analytics now, and the numbers are telling them that they can get the same results for cheaper.
Brian Kowitz is our guest, of course, a longtime baseball player in the Braves organization, of course, has lived here his whole life, and out in McDonough right now and doing the insurance thing with his group at Heller Kowitz. You can find him out on the internet at Heller Kowitz as well. I wanted to ask you, about this part of baseball and the analytics, because Luke and I spend long stretches of beer drinking in Indianapolis when we're not talking about the combine, discussing analytics and the value of that and where the teams are and all that. You're new school, old school guy. Where do you stand on analytics for numbers that matter to you, new school analytics that you say, well, that's an interesting stat that wasn't there when I played ball, or it's been read or interpreted differently in the modern era?
Well, it's funny, there's data on the analytics on the shift. There's a lot of analytics in defense, runs saved per game that wasn't there when I played. I think it has its place. Data is always important. So, data is always important, and, to have good data and then, be able to match that up with, the eye test that I like to say, literally looking at the person, seeing him, and, the baseball IQ part of it, analytics only tells you one thing, but the baseball IQ, can win you a lot of ball games. And I feel like, sometimes that gets overlooked, and, I think that's the big fight between the old school and the new school is, analytics versus baseball IQ and the hustle and the grit and the determination. So, I think it's just, it's going to be, I think, a battle that's going to last for a while there until I think some of the old school people die out. Actually,
well, let me just put it to you this way, and I do find the shifting fascinating in WAR, and the whole Moneyball, and I've read Moneyball. It's been over a decade now since that happened. It feels like the playing field sort of leveled out a little bit, but then on the other side of that comes this baking of the numbers to say, well, those players are no longer serviceable at that number anymore. It feels like this sort of market correction financially has been tied to analytics, that when you get enough analytics, it's easy enough to say that guy's no good at that, and therefore we're not going to pay him for that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the numbers. Nowadays it's all numbers, and it's all. That's how all these salaries are figured out. I mean, you got a guy like, Boris is the best at it, where he's got his players and getting top dollar for his players, and it's pretty simple. He just lays the stat sheet over the last well-paid person has the same or similar stats, and that's how that's the escalation there of salaries and. It's pretty hard to fight.
Well, it feels like the players are getting a smaller piece of the pie now that the pie is expanded, right? Because the teams don't have to spend the money on players. This isn't a salary cap. This is, the players negotiated for chefs and extra seats on planes and extra nights in hotels and stuff like that. They didn't negotiate a salary floor, which probably would have been heresy back in your era for Fear or for Marvin Miller. But that's really kind of come back to bite them when teams are not spending the money they're being given out of the general pool on baseball players. They're putting it in their pocket and preaching poor and saying, well, later on we'll sign guys. Well, later on is here for Machado, and the Orioles aren't giving him the money either.
Well, what I think it is these business owners. I mean, the owners are business people. It's ultimately they spend the money, and it's their money. And I think with their, there's. Unfortunately, I think we spend, sometimes we put our dollars in the wrong spot, and then that doesn't allow us to put the money in the right spot. We had a big signing with Chris Davis and Ubaldo, and that didn't really work out well. And now that money, it's hard because you can't do other things with it, like maybe have locked up Machado last year or the year before,
or maybe locking up Scope right now, which would seem to be
or Scope.
Yeah, I mean that would have been the sensible thing to do, and we haven't heard a word about that. Brian Kowitz joining us here, of course, former major leaguer with the Braves and hanging around Baltimore and doing the insurance thing and watching baseball. Hey, fun watching baseball through the eyes of your kid, Brian.
It is. It's great. I'm just rooting for him and hoping that he can just have a little success. All I want is him to feel some success and have some pride and feel good about himself, and just have fun. Have the camaraderie with the teammates, be part of a team. It's for him. It's we just want to have fun. And I help him and the best I can. But it's fun just to watch the camaraderie and the. Just him being a part of a team.
Well, different game 40 years later, right? Like from where you were on the prep line to trying to go to college and play college ball and get yourself into a major league uniform. I would think at the baseball warehouse, there's a whole different set of skills for these kids at Cal Ripken ballparks that exist and Cal Ripken World Series and cages in the off season. I mean, you could be 12 months a year with baseball around here, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's, the baseball warehouse is, which I'm part of, and I'm, on the advisory board of it, and, help out the owner, Matt Morris. And, he's got about, I think, 6 or 7 teams, and he does, individual lessons, and he does clinics. He does coaching clinics. He also does a lot of free clinics and kind of workouts for the community as well, just to get some exposure and let some of the kids just get a taste of what it's about, and helping the coaches, like with the Reisterstown, they did a free clinic for the Reisterstown Rec league where the coaches came in, they gave some free advice, and all of his instructors are ex-professionals. So you have Derek May, who is there, Casper Wells, Jimmy Crowley, Terry Crowley's son, is over there helping out. So there's a lot of good instruction.
Hey, my man, get back out to the diamond with your lad, and we will continue to check in. We'll tell everybody that if you need some insurance out there, you can get Brian a ring as well, 410-526-6690 at Heller Kowitz. You can find them out on the web or at a cocktail party or business establishment. Hopefully, I'll see you out in the suit and tie circuit getting a cup of coffee sometime soon, Brian.
Thanks. That sounds good, Nestor. Thank you.
You got it. Brian Kowitz, a former big leaguer. He's out at Heller Kowitz as well and talking some baseball with us out there at the baseball warehouse as well. Love the baseball, guys. Baseball season, man. We're down in spring training, doing a thing in Sarasota, getting ready for the NCAA tournament, getting ready for Caps playoffs. We got NFL Combine with Luke and I around here. You can find us out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper shipped to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. It's all powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. And now featuring the Maryland Jockey Club and the Laurel entries. We'll have the Pimlico entries when it's time for the Preakness around here. We're not that far out on all the prep races that are running right now, so we're going to be monitoring all things racing. It was good to catch up with Kenny Mayne a couple weeks ago at the Super Bowl. He loves horse racing as much as the next guy. Baffert might even have some horses this year. The Maryland Jockey Club now sponsoring us here at WNST, and, of course, the entries now in our morning newspaper, as well as on the front of WNST.net. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, anywhere the web goes, we are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.